Not to be outdone, the women of Oklahoma City have a lot to say to you. I'll figure out how to do this and be able to see too. Stella said, "I've always been proud of my country. My country where I'm free to express my opinions. Americans have a culture of adapting and thriving. I fear the politicians currently in power. In less than 4 months, they have taken big steps to change this country into a government of control of everything. Government control of companies and salaries, government control of health care, and government control of fuel consumption. With a tax evader in charge of the Treasury, the rush forward to raise the taxes of responsible citizens in order to provide a higher standard of housing and health care for those who don't even pay their own bills. This is socialism. It has worked, and it won't work now." My name is Pam, and I live in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I want Washington to be required to live by the same rules as I do. I want them to come out of their bubble and see how the rest of America lives outside of Washington, D.C. Without raising taxes. I must live within my financial means, and I think Washington should do no less. Never ever sign anything before reading it. The audacity to admit that they signed the stimulus package and never bothered to read it. My grandbabies think it was stupid and they ought to be fired. Possibility that the America we know will be lost. The America I know is a lot like Oklahoma, a place where we work hard and responsibility is rewarded, where leaders respect and revere the Constitution, and people put the good of the country before their own self-interest. Since the beginning, patriots in many forms have given up everything, up to including their lives for this great country. We all have a duty to do whatever we can to save this republic. Our Constitution is under attack and our liberties are at stake. I'm disenfranchised by a government getting bigger than it was ever intended to be. I'm convinced that they do not have the people's best interest at heart. Listen up, local, state, and Washington. We aren't going to take it anymore. Gail says, "We must reestablish our Constitution. It reflects the 9 principles and 12 values on which our country was founded. We must honor the Constitution the way it was written." I'm distressed by what's happening to our country. Our rights are God-given, not government-driven. Their salaries. Is in serious jeopardy, and our children, grandchildren are being sold into bondage. From Pat in Newcastle, Oklahoma, Obama's become the CEO of big government. He should be fired too. Who told you that you were capable of leadership? They lied. If you were arrogant enough to think you can erode and ignore the Constitution on which the greatest country in the history of the world was founded, you exist in profound delusion. That's assault on common sense and betrayal of trust. You're looting in its economy and abandonment of tradition, principles, and faith. You're fools. If you believe you can replace liberty with a failed socialist ideology that elevates the most ruthless, okay, I'm gonna try that one again. I'm an amateur. The most ruthless among us in the power while destroying the productivity and ingenuity, unaware of your own evil. You are oppressors pretending to be caretakers of this nation. You are blindly sabotaging all that has nurtured greatness in the United States. And there is none so blind as those who will not see. You're either phenomenally deceived or you're maniacally ambitious. You are dangerous and we're gathering determination to stop your rampage. I'm Sherry Fed in Oklahoma. I came from a hard-working Depression family who taught me to work hard and take responsibility for my actions and consequences of reaping and sowing. I'm mad as hell that our government is spending trillions of dollars, money that we don't have. I am demanding Congress to balance their checkbook as I'm required to balance mine. I'm demanding Congress to stop the massive bailouts that put us into debt for years and years. I implore everyone to keep this movement going at all costs on behalf of our children and our grandchildren. Remember, we surround you. God bless America. And for myself, I have an apology to make to the American citizens. Since the president's doing apologies, I might as well. I dropped the ball. I assumed that the Pledge of Allegiance was still taught in our schools. I believed that all of our children understood the significance of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I trusted that our elected officials would act in our best interest. I have allowed this country to slide into a socialist nation without regard to the Constitution or our personal rights. Today, I say no more. No longer sit idly by while someone else tries to rule our country and run the country's future. I pledge to be watchful of our elected officials and demand they be accountable. I pledge allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the people for which it stands.
Yay. I am learning every minute just by being here how much I love America. Thank you. Yeah. Now in literature, the everyman is the normal, ordinary guy you relate to as you read his story. He's placed in some extraordinary circumstance, forced to face a threat. He's trying his best to live his life and not hurt anyone. He's a decent man, being who only wants to be left alone. But no, fate throws him this pestering problem that demands his action. He doesn't want to. He'd rather eat dinner, go to bed, get up in the morning and do a decent day's work for decent pay. But fate has other plans. You and I find ourselves in the everyman's shoes today. We've been trying to live our lives decently and in order, trusting